Cornerback 1. One of the most important players on every team's roster, as their main goal is to shut down the opposing team's best receiver. As we get ready for yet another NFL season, members of the NFL community have continued the annual tradition to make lists and rankings for every position. In all these lists, one name seems to be forgotten: Seattle Seahawks rookie cornerback Tariq Woolen. And in today's video, using stats, I'll prove to you why he's one of the most underrated and best cornerbacks in the entire league. Recent position rankings made by league executives, players, scouts, and coaches have Woolen ranked outside the top 10. Pro Football Focus follows the same trend, ranking him at number 16 in their cornerbacks list, and Madden has rated him as the 27th best cornerback in the entire game. First, let's quickly recap Tariq's stats from last season. After getting selected in the 5th round in last year's draft by the Seahawks, Tariq had a phenomenal rookie season. He led the league in interceptions with 6 and even got a pick 6. He was number 4 in passes defended with 17 passes defended and only allowed 3 touchdowns when he was the main defender. And this led to a Pro Bowl nod in his rookie season. Unfortunately, he didn't win Defensive Rookie of the Year, as that award went to Sauce Gardner. And after Sauce's rookie season, he's already ranked number 2 by ESPN in cornerbacks and number 1 by PFF. When comparing the two, both corners' builds are incredibly similar, with both of them being within an inch of each other when it comes to height. Both of them are very athletic, with Tariq being the number 1 corner in athleticism for his draft class, and both also play a similar role on the field. So even though both these cornerbacks had great rookie seasons, one of them is almost number 1 in most cornerback lists, and the other one isn't even cracking the top 10. When looking at some advanced stats, you can actually make the case that Tariq Woolen had a better rookie season than Sauce Gardner. Although Sauce beats out Tariq in yards per target, touchdowns against, and passes defended, we can see that Tariq actually edges him out in completion percentage, yards after catch per completion, pass rating against, and total interceptions. The only stat where Tariq is marginally behind Sauce is the 3 touchdowns given up all season, which is actually the same as Jalen Ramsey's average for the past 5 years. Even though Sauce does beat him on that stat, Tariq is in some great company with Jalen Ramsey. I mean, based off these stats, there's definitely an argument that Tariq had the better rookie season, if not the fact that they're very close. And so that poses the question, why is Tariq so underrated in all these lists and Sauce is ranked so high? There's 2 main reasons for this. And the first one is that people have a misconception about Tariq. They think he's a player like Trayvon Diggs, who gives up a lot of big plays, touchdowns and yards, but also gets a bunch of interceptions, going for the ball and making risky plays. Tariq is far from a player like Trayvon Diggs. When looking at the stats, we see that Trayvon Diggs' completion percentage against is 64.7%, which is higher than league average, and Tariq has him beat on every single statistic, both basic and advanced. While Tariq can be a great playmaker and make some flashy plays, he's also very good at coverage, which is the difference between him and a guy like Trayvon Diggs. And back to the comparison between him and Sauce Gardner, the reason Sauce gets much more love is hype. In college, he allowed 0 touchdowns and was a big part of a University of Cincinnati Bearcats team that made it to their first ever college football playoff. His success in college made him the number 5 pick in the draft by the Jets, and the Jets were a team which were very exciting and young, and Sauce fit perfectly in that. He's pretty active on social media, the team just acquired Aaron Rodgers, they overperformed last season, and they have a bunch of other great young players like Garrett Wilson, for example. And Woolen, on the other hand, played at the University of Texas, San Antonio, and actually started his first 2 years as a wide receiver before switching over to cornerback. As UTSA is a very small school and doesn't get much recognition when it comes to football, they play in a pretty small conference, and because of this, Tariq wasn't given as much exposure, although he was very NFL ready, similarly to Sauce. This led to him being picked in the 5th round and pick number 153 by the Seattle Seahawks. And at this time, the Seahawks had just traded away former franchise quarterback Russell Wilson, and many thought they were in a rebuilding mode and won't win many games. However, led by quarterback Geno Smith, the Seahawks actually clinched the playoff berth and proved everyone wrong. And Tariq had all these good stats while playing on a much worse defense. Because he was playing on a worse defense, Tariq had so much more responsibility compared to Sauce Gardner. Gardner is on a Jets defense, which also has Quinnen Williams and is much better than the Seahawks. In fact, the Seahawks felt they need to improve some defense this year with their number 5 pick, which they got in the Russell Wilson trade. They drafted Devin Witherspoon to go alongside Tariq and build a deadly secondary duo. Now let's compare Tariq and Patrick Surtain. and Surtain is ESPN's #1 cornerback, and he's also pretty young, and we've seen that Sauce and Patrick Surtain are in the top 10, and they're both pretty young guys, so if Tariq has similar stats, he has no excuse but to be on that list as well. For the fact that Patrick Surtain is definitely considered one of the best cornerbacks, if not the best cornerback in the entire league, entering his 3rd season, and the fact that Tariq Woolen's rookie stats are actually pretty comparable to Patrick Surtain, there's no doubt that Tariq Woolen is very underrated on these rankings. And compared to other players in ESPN's top 10, like for example AJ Terrell, Tariq Woolen has some great stats when you compare his to AJ Terrell's, but I've already shown you how good his stats are compared to the #1 and #2 on ESPN's list, being Patrick Surtain and Sauce Gardner. The Seahawks got themselves a steal in last year's draft, picking up a very fast, athletic, and NFL-ready corner who dominated as soon as he entered the league. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video on one of my favorite players to watch and the most underrated player in all of football, Tariq Woolen, cornerback on the Seattle Seahawks. Bye and thank you.